So, for today's movie review, I'll be reviewing the movie Transformers: The Age of Extinction. Now, when I heard they were making a fourth Transformers movie, I told myself I was done with this franchise. But the only reason why I decided to watch this movie in the first place was because of one reason: the Dinobots. And yeah, how is this film of the other Transformers film in the franchise? After the events of Darker the Moon, basically the human government wants to rid the world of Transformers, regardless if they're Autobot or Decepticon, by hiring this bounty hunter named Lockdown. And while that's going on, there's this human family who discovers a battle-wounded Optimist, and basically they get caught in this war between the Autobots and the human government. In terms of what I liked about this movie, I like the overall dark tone of the film, because with the last three movies, they had their dark moments, but the films themselves weren't really that dark. This one is the darkest among the Transformer movies, and it works. Also, we're kind of back to basics in terms of how many Autobots appear on screen. Because between Revenge of the Fallen and Dark of the Moon, they introduce all these new Autobots, but very few of them get limited screen time. At least with the new Autobots in this movie, they at least get a good amount of screen time. And what else? Special effects were pretty good for the most part. Although from time to time they looked like they weren't quite done yet. But yeah, they weren't that bad. I also like the introduction of the Dinobots, a group of characters I never thought I would have seen on screen. And yeah, they handled them very well. Granted, yeah, they looked more like dragons than anything else, but they weren't too bad. So in terms of what I disliked about this movie, like I said earlier, the CGI from time to time looked really great, and sometimes it didn't look quite fully rendered yet. And I found the movie to have a lot of fluff to it. Like, you could have taken out this fluff, and the film could have been shorter. And I feel like the plot with the villains is just a bit too complicated, because you essentially got a government agent who hires this bounty hunter to hunt down the remaining Autobots so they can give the remains to an inventor who builds a robot that essentially gains a mind of its own and manipulates the inventor to build him a robot army without him realizing it. It's just a bit too much going on. Like, I feel like it could have just taken, like, one of these ideas and saved it for a sequel. And some of the designs to some of the other robots did bug me a bit. Like, at one point in the film, they're on the Lockdown's ship, and they encounter what appeared to be Wall-E with vampire teeth. I ain't making this shit up. Like, it's like, what was the idea behind this? That also, they just made a My Little Pony reference for who knows what reason. I mean, yeah, I know Transformers and My Little Pony are property of Hasbro, but it's just, I felt that was just really out of place. And in a movie series called Transformers, it's more focused on the human aspect of the storyline than the actual Transformers themselves. And also, do we really need another bullshit human love story? That's what the last three movies were basically about. And the humor? I mean, yeah, there's some jokes I laughed at, but then there are others I was just like, really? Another thing I disliked about this movie was Optimus's facial design. Like, the first time I saw his body, I didn't like it at first, but the more I saw it, the more I got used to it, so it was a bad upgrade. It's just his facial feature. It looks like he barely has a nose. Like, he reminded me of Optimus Prime from the Transformers Prime cartoon. Then also, do we really need to introduce a whole new cast of Autobots? As for the characters in this movie, I'll start with Mark Wahlberg's character, Cade Yeager. Essentially, he's the inventor of the movie. Like, you see him, inventing, all these inventions that fail. Although, throughout the entire movie, you see him inventing inventions that actually work. Also, another thing I liked about the character is he's the protagonist that actually does something. Because with Sam Witwicky, it's like, okay, crackpot theories, tells Optimus, then proceeds to scream like a little bitch for the rest of the movie. This here, it's more like, okay, invent a little thing, do this. Then all of a sudden, it's like, you see him pull out an alien gun and actually see him shoot Decepticons. Like, that was pretty cool.
He has good intentions for his daughter. He just gets occupied with his crappy inventions.
Like, between him and his daughter acts more like the adult. Then comes Tessa Yeager. Like I said, between her and her father, she acts more like the adult than Mark Wahlberg's character does. But her main reason for being in this movie is to be the designated damsel in distress. Then comes her boyfriend, Shane. He was completely useless. Like, I could have done without his character. Like, I think the only useful thing he does is just makes him get into a car and just drives around fast away from the government agents. But beyond that, he's a little bitch. That also, it doesn't help that his accent doesn't really make it much sense, because first time I heard it, I thought he was Austrian, but no, he's Irish. It's like, that is the worst Irish accent I've ever heard. As for Optimus, basically in the first 3 films, he's always been kind of calm and cool, which is what I liked about the character, but the thing is, I kind of like what they did with the character this time around, because we see him get a bit more angry towards humanity. Like, we don't really see him get angry that much, unless it was at the start of the 3rd movie, but in this film, it's completely understandable for his anger, because most of his comrades are dead, and humanity screwed itself over by creating Galvatron, and he was just like, no, screw this, I saved Earth enough times, you people are screwing yourselves over, I'm letting you settle your own problem here. Like, I actually kind of like how angry he gets. He has the right to get angry for these reasons. As for Bumblebee, he hasn't really changed that much, unless you count his vehicle modes, but really, like, if you've seen the first 3 movies, you get the idea of how Bumblebee is in this movie, but I'm glad he returned. Then comes Hound. Basically, he's the replacement Ironhide, and if I had to describe his personality, he just reminded me of Bulkhead from Transformers Prime, because they're like these 2 big, slightly overweight Autobots who are clumsy and they like to fight. Then comes Drift. In terms of physical design, he looks pretty cool because, well, he looks like a fucking samurai. And yeah, he basically carries the typical traits that go with being a samurai. Like, he speaks haikus occasionally. Although I kind of like his relationship with Bumblebee, because he seems to be at odds with Bumblebee because he believes that Bumblebee isn't disciplined enough to become leader in Optimus's absence. And also, he's the first Autobot on screen to be a triple changer.
A triple changer being a robot that has 3 modes. 2 vehicle modes and 1 robot mode. Then comes Crosshairs. Among the new Autobots, he is the asshole of the group, and he's basically a trigger-happy paratrooper.
As for the Dinobots, basically they were the highlight of the film for me, because I've been waiting to see these group of Autobots on screen for a long time. And the thing is, they only have like 20 minutes of screen time, and I felt their role in the movie was just kind of irrelevant. It's like, I wish they were just a bit more relevant. I mean, their designs are kind of ridiculous because, I mean, with Grimlock, it's like, okay, I grew accustomed to the devil horns, but then he got Slug. It's like, okay, minus the Stegosaurus spikes on his tail, it looks okay. Then he got the other 2, like with Strafe. It's like, why does he have 2 heads and 2 tails? Like, I want to know. Then he got Scorn, who's a 3-spine Spinosaurus. It's like, why? What was the thought process behind this? And also, they're basically the main gimmick of the movie. Like, with Revenge of the Fallen, the Constructicons in their combined form, Devastator, were the main gimmick of that movie. And with Dark of the Moon, Shockwave and his pet were the main gimmick of that movie. Basically, the Dinobots are the main gimmick of this movie. As for the main villain, Lockdown, he's a pretty cool character because he's not a Decepticon, he's just a rogue bounty hunter. And if I had to describe his character archetype, he's the good type of bad guy, in the sense of what he believes he's doing is for the greater good of the universe. Kind of like Judge Frollo in Hunchback of Notre Dame, except he's a bounty hunter instead of a judge. And yeah, he may not be an A-lister Decepticon like Megatron, Starscream, Shockwave, or Soundwave, but he's pretty cool in his own way. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his character's name right, but Harold. Basically, he's the secondary antagonist of the film, and yeah, the best way to describe him, he's like the elusive man from Mass Effect, where he's got good intentions, just proceeds them in a bad way. Yeah, that's really about it for his character. Although, the one thing I do find weird about his character is that he wants to rid the world of Transformers, yet he hires a Transformer to do his bidding. That to me was just kind of weird. Then comes Galvatron. He is a man-made Transformer, who later gets possessed by Megatron's consciousness. Okay, to explain that a little bit, basically they took whatever information was from Megatron's severed head, and basically this reactivates Megatron's mind, and now he has a new body. And yeah, that's really about it. He's pretty cool, but yeah, that's really about it for his character. And the thing is, I know a lot of people are bitching about how Galvatron is a man-made Transformer and he wasn't created by Unicron, but in a way it kind of works, because for me it's a bit more reminiscent of how Megatron manipulated the scientists to build him a new body and Transformers the animated series. It worked! It's just there's a lot of other crap going on throughout this entire movie, so Galvatron doesn't really have a big role in this movie till the end, but yeah, beyond that, we'll be seeing him again sometime soon. Then comes Decepticon Stinger. Basically, he's the evil counterpart to Bumblebee. And yeah, that's really about it. No, literally, throughout the entire movie, basically, like, all the people who create all these man-made Transformers are, like, hyping up this character to essentially be, like, bigger, faster, and stronger than Bumblebee ever was. But you don't see him that much, and he just becomes a one-note villain. So for the final verdict of Transformers Age of Extinction, this is probably the second best Transformers movie out there. Because with the last two installments, they had some cool ideas, they just went in the wrong direction with them, and there's a lot of questionable character depictions. This one here, it's actually not that bad in terms of the direction they go with it, and the character depictions aren't that horrible. But despite some of the stuff I did like about it, it does have its own set of problems. So, before I give my final rating, what does everyone else have to say about Transformers Age of Extinction? So it looks like Age of Extinction generally got mixed to negative reviews. I can understand, but I didn't think the movie was that horrible either. So for my final rating of Transformers The Age of Extinction, I give it a 3 out of 5. So favorite subgroup of Autobot or Decepticons, and see you later.